Hey, Dylan with Oak City Customs here. Today I want to take you on a tour of our ultimate work truck. So this is a 2012 Dodge Ram 3500, and we've added a ton of custom features to make our life on the job site a little bit easier and to show you examples of really cool things that we can do in the shop. So starting at the front of the truck, we've got this custom-made bumper. It has a couple of really interesting features on it. Firstly, this big winch. It's an 18,000-pound winch from Harbor Freight. Does a great job of pulling things near the truck or pulling the truck out if it gets stuck. We've got a bull bar, brush guards that protect the headlights. Wanted to really include some interesting features like this woodwork. This was really challenging to make because we've got a lot of complex angles on this piece. We've done our woodwork in white oak and mahogany, which are both waterproof outdoor rated woods, so this should last a long time. We've got a custom powder coat job done at Powder Coat USA. We really enjoyed this project. This particular aspect on the truck, I think it gives it a really unique look. So obviously this thing has a really crazy wrap. When we originally got this truck, it was a salvage title vehicle. It had been wrecked on the side, so we did a little bit of restoration work to it. It's actually allowed us to get the truck for an affordable price. Instead of doing a paint job, we went with this wrap. Our friends at Saturday's Gravy Graphic Design designed this wrap for us, and we really wanted this to be just a bit different than your normal work truck. Something fun and unique that really reflects the work that we also do at Oak City Customs. Continuing the theme of wood and metal, we included these wood running boards. They're again white oak and mahogany. They serve the purpose of stepping into the truck, and it's also just a fun visual feature. So the main element of this truck is obviously the bed. We spent a lot of time fabricating this. It was in the shop for quite a while, and it was a really good build challenge because you have such a finite amount of space to put a lot of things. Every element on the bed of this truck really impacts the size and shape of everything else. We designed it with several items in mind. One is the ability to have a ladder rack on this truck that is 16 feet long. We have removable posts on the ladder rack. Show them to you here. You can see also these steps. So we've designed it so it's easy to get up from the ground like this. And then the ladder rack is clear through here, but I can also set it up by pulling these bars out and locking them in this position. If I do that, it creates a 16-foot long ladder rack on the truck so I can haul long material and gets out of the way when I'm not using it. So back here at the back of the truck, we've designed the opening of the bed at 53 inches wide. So it's a convenient size for moving tables, which we're doing often, that are going to be a maximum of 52 inches wide, and also for loading and unloading plywood, which is going to be 48. You can see that it also has these tie-down locations everywhere on the sides. And these are really fun. We went with these automatic retracting ratchet straps so that we can secure loads into the truck. Also back here at the back, you can see a couple of compartments that we have. This one we use to store all of our jacks and roadside assistance type things, chalk blocks and stuff like that. The way that the bed is constructed, it sits up off of the frame. And so there was this empty space that we used to store items that are up to 10 feet long. So we've actually got a folding ladder here. We've got a folding table, and we keep all of our long things like levels and straight edges underneath the truck right here. So some other fun features we put on the truck. Obviously you can see wood bumpers again to tie the theme together. We've used a lot of machine parts, so small gears that you're gonna see throughout the vehicle that are also functional. So these hold the tail lights. We've used some elsewhere for tie-down locations. You can see the vise. So we've done it in a way that the vise can fold out to make it really usable, because if it's not ready to be used, you're just not using it at all. So now we can use the vise. It's a pretty fun little feature here. So while we're back here at the back, I want to talk about a little bit of the utilities. On this vehicle, we have a 5,000 watt inverter that's powering two 100-foot extension cords. We also have a 14-gallon water tank that is running a 100-foot long hose reel, so we can wash things off in the field, wash our hands, paint brushes, things like that. And we have compressed air on the truck. So as you can see right here, we have a 100-foot long hose reel. It's a 3/8 line. And it's hooked up to these two air tanks. So on the driver's side of the truck, we have all of our metalworking equipment. This Trailblazer welder generator, it's going to produce power for our job site if we're not running power off of the truck itself. And it's also going to produce power to do any type of welding. So we can MIG weld, TIG weld, or stick weld at up to 250 feet from the truck. And we can MIG weld and TIG weld with gas that runs out of this gas bottle compartment. So in this compartment, we have 2 75-25 gas tanks, which are gonna be for MIG welding, and we have one 100% argon tank. Those tanks are piped out to a location where we can plug in the hoses right here. So they're hard lined. And we also store saw stand, straight edges, a few other things in here, and some clamps. Over here, this is where we store all of our gas lines. We've got a suitcase wire feeder that allows us to MIG weld at the 250 feet from the truck, and also plasma cut off of this vehicle. So if we're cutting any type of metal, we're ready to do that at any time. So to get 250 feet away from the truck, we have to have a lot of leads. So these are the ground and power cables that will take the welding power away from the machine out to our location. We also have extension cords so that we can plug in 220-volt devices such as a large air compressor for spraying paint in the field. And then brings me around to our utility box. So this is kind of the brains of the operation here. Quite a few things going on. We can turn on our water pump, and we have lights that we can turn on this truck. So there's a chance that we're out on the job site when it gets dark, and we wanted to be able to see all around this truck. So we have 5 different zones of lights. We have one for the bed, one for the back, left side, right side, and a front light bar. We have an airbag suspension setup. So we have 2 airbags on the truck that increases the load carrying capacity by 5,000 pounds. We run these at up to 100 PSI for full load, and it also has the ability to level the truck if we have an uneven load. And we have a water pump, battery meter, and then all of the fuses that are running the different devices on the bed of the truck. So this side of the truck is our general purpose tools and woodworking tools. So in this compartment, we have various tool bags that are going to come out onto a job site really regularly. So drills, impactors, all kinds of wrenches and things like that, grinders, sanders, painting and cleanup. Then in this box, we have some larger tools. So here we have extension cords. We've got a concrete drill, got every type of nail gun that we will use on any job site, and we can power it with our air compressor here. We also have a metal circular saw, wood circular saw, metal cutoff saw, vacuum, all the nail ammo. This is kind of our roadside repair kit, so ideally don't have to use it, but use it pretty often. And then we have all sorts of sockets and things. This box is really fun. I really enjoy having this on the truck. This is basically the hardware store. So we have these bins that are set up with each different type of hardware that we might use. This saves us from having to make a trip to the store pretty often. Usually we'll load up hardware specific for a job, and then this is our backup hardware. But wanted to show you kind of just an example of what we're carrying on the truck. So this would be all 1/4-inch bolts or machine screws. This really saves us from having to make an extra trip. So a couple other things I wanted to mention about the truck that are really fun. We were able to incorporate this small crane. So we can swing the crane off over the back of the truck, and then we can pull up to 2,000 pounds up off of the ground and swing it right into the truck. This has actually turned out to be really useful for pulling items up onto a trailer or just getting things near the truck. You can see that we have a farm jack on the side, so in case we need to lift something pretty heavy. We've also got a hand truck, so if we need to get something heavy into a location, we can take this hand truck off of the truck and put it into use. Here in the bed of the truck, we have yet a few more features. We have a job site table saw that we can take off and put onto this stand, and we have a chop saw that we can take off and put onto the stand you saw in the gas bottle box. Both of these have covers that go over them that snap to keep them weatherproof. And then we have a box back here full of moving blankets. So this is the front of the ladder rack, protects the top of the truck, also gives us a place where we can walk, and we always keep a pair of sawhorses with us, so when we're on a job site, we can set up to make cuts. So I was mentioning tie-down locations, and these retractable ratchet straps have been really handy. We've got several places to use them on the truck, so we can go around something and then go to the side of the truck and then ratchet down. Or we've included these machine parts, one because they look cool, but also because they're real specific for how the straps interact with them. So we can clip them like this, or this one, we can actually go through and clip like this. So we can strap something this way.
So this is our truck body on our work truck. We're really excited that it's finally finished. It's taken multiple years from its original conception to have it come to this point. A lot of the challenges in making this thing is that there's so many places where you have to do so much welding. All these places that are seamless where different parts come together, they have to be completely welded and ground. So when you start putting that much heat into steel, cause it to move around. So a situation you get into often is where you get something perfectly how you want it, it's temporarily held in place, and as you begin to weld it out, it'll start pulling around, moving itself out of square. Being mindful of that when you're starting to do a lot of welding on steel can save you from getting into problems. So another cool feature about this truck is these custom-made aluminum toolboxes that we have all the way around. They're not something that you can just go to a store and pick up. We had to have drawings made. We also designed the openings that the toolboxes sit in based on how big the toolboxes are going to end up being. So we made these CAD drawings and sent them to this company called Alum-Line based out of Iowa, and they made all these boxes for us. They did a wonderful job. These things came, we were able to just bolt them right in, put our shelves where we want them. They had adjustable shelving in some of them that they fabricated for us. The finish on all of them is nice. They just fit perfectly, and we're really happy with how they came out. We tried to incorporate a lot of different textures and materials, the steel, the wood, diamond plate, or expanded metal, or underneath the roof rack is the wire mesh, so that we can show a customer in the field different materials that can be incorporated into their design. A really complicated and tricky thing to fabricate on this truck is this custom bumper that we made. We tried to take inspiration from some of the natural lines that are in the truck. Instead of just having the brush guard come straight up and have an arc or something, we followed the contour of the body. So overall, considering how hard and difficult this was to make, I think it came out great. Everything fits perfectly and looks super nice.
Hey guys, Justin here with Oak City Customs. You've seen the brains and the body of the truck, and I'm going to show you the guts. Right away you can see our power inverter, and you heard Dillon talking about how the inverter powers our 120 volt outlets and our air compressor. So that lives in here, and right behind it is a 200 amp hour lithium ion battery that powers the inverter and all of the truck's auxiliary electrical systems, including the water pump, which is also housed in here, the water tank that feeds that water pump, and all of the rest of our main electrical controls are in here, including our DC charger to charge the battery from the truck. So one particular challenge is if you locate all of your utilities in one place, you then have to distribute them throughout the truck. Since we had the opportunity to build this bed from scratch, a lot of our wireways are hidden within the actual structure of the bed. So all these lights here, these are running lights and turn signals. Really handy when you have a large truck and trailer trying to move around in traffic. Our utility box is here, and all of the buttons that control everything are up here. But what Dillon didn't tell you is there's also redundant controls for most of these things on the dashboard as well. A challenge that we encountered was wiring all of the bed into the rest of the truck, so that way we have controls over the features in the bed while we're in the cab. Also a safety feature, that way we're not driving with the area lights on, blinding other drivers. I incorporated onto the dashboard here a series of buttons that control all of the lighting zones, and they're also individually lit so that you know whether your lights are on or off. Here you can see one of the locks that is in every box. These locks are actually tied into the truck's lock system, so when you hit the button to lock the truck on the key fob, it also locks every other box, assuming that they're all closed. If they're not closed, the truck won't lock, and that way you know that one of your boxes is open and potentially in an unsafe condition. So our main goal with this truck was to be able to handle any situation that we run into. Or sometimes we're on the job site for a long time and the truck's stationary, but we don't want to idle it up in case we're running down the battery. So we can actually plug the truck into, we call it shore power, and so it just can run off of any outlet from the job site, and that will charge up the truck's batteries and convert all of its systems over to that wall outlet power, so you're not draining the batteries for the truck anymore either.
Thanks for checking out our video on this custom work truck build. If you have questions about how we did it or elements of this build, please do email us or contact us through Facebook. We look forward to seeing you out in the field soon.